I'm an idiot. I tipped GWS and then changed it to Port Adelaide, and then GWS ended up winning. So I got the tip wrong. Could have got 8 out of 9 rather than 7. Anyway, let's focus on this week's tipping. So to start off the round, we head to Etihad Stadium on a Friday night. Essendon versus Sydney. I'm going to be tipping Sydney. I mean, it was a hard one to tip, but Essendon are playing some pretty good footy. Sydney are very unpredictable at the moment. But I found that Sydney are playing a lot better away from home than they're playing at home. Ironically, I don't know where that has come from. It's usually the other way around, but I don't know. It will be a close game, but I think Sydney, you'd just expect Sydney to bounce back after their horrific loss to Gold Coast last week. If they lose this one, then I'm not tipping him again for the rest of the year. That is Sydney I'm talking about. Saturday afternoon at the MCG, Richmond versus Collingwood. I'm going to be tipping Richmond because they're unbeaten at home this year. Collingwood, they're pretty good, but in my opinion, I'm not sure how they're going to go against top 4 sides, or at least top 3 or top 2. Richmond, unbeaten at home this year. They haven't lost since round 13 last year. So that's why I think Richmond will win. Besides, the last time the two teams played, Richmond ended up thrashing Collingwood. So, yeah. And that was a Collingwood home game, so yeah. Saturday afternoon at GMHBA Stadium, Geelong versus Brisbane. I'm going to be tipping Geelong because it's at home. You just expect Geelong to win. I mean, Brisbane, they're playing some okay footy, but they lost last week after a 3-week winning streak. And Geelong, they've been playing some pretty good footy. They won after the siren, which is good, and they came back from behind, but that took a lot of courage in the mental mind to do that as well, because you think, we're 30 points down, I'm not sure how we're going to win from here, but they did, so, yeah. But you just expect at home Geelong will win. Saturday, twilight, GWS versus St Kilda at Spotless. GWS, they have only lost to West Coast since round 11, so, and St Kilda, they're one of the disappointments of the year. I mean, really, why would you tip against GWS right now against teams that aren't Richmond, if you're talking about the MCG, that is, against West Coast or against Collingwood, really? I mean, GWS, they're playing some really good footy. I'm not going to change my tip this week. I won't do it. Besides, why would you? So yeah, GWS it is. Saturday night at Metricon Stadium, Gold Coast versus Carlton. I'll be tipping Gold Coast, especially after that upset last week. God, I don't know how they did that. Carlton, they've only won one game out of the whole year. I'm posting Gold Coast 4. I know most of those came in 3 of the first 5 rounds of the season, but still, they won last week, so you expect them to win this week. Saturday night at Adelaide Oval, Adelaide versus Melbourne. I'm actually going to be tipping Adelaide because of the way they've been playing at home since round 15. They beat West Coast, who I don't think anyone expected them to do. They defeated Geelong as well, who are a pretty good side. So yeah, you'd expect them to beat Melbourne, especially after that horrific loss against Geelong last week. Don't know how they let that slip, and I don't think Melbourne will do that great at Adelaide Oval. Sunday afternoon at Blundstone Arena, North Melbourne versus West Coast. God, why? Couldn't we play that game at Etihad Stadium? I mean, there's no game on at Etihad Stadium on Sunday. And I don't even think there is one on Saturday. I'm just trying to confirm. No. The only time they play at Etihad Stadium is on Friday. So, AFL, why did you make that at Blundstone rather than bloody Etihad? Don't know where they got that from. I know they play 3 games a year, but could it be against someone other than West Coast? Because West Coast don't like that ground. I will be tipping West Coast only because North Melbourne, they're playing absolutely horrible right now. I'm sorry to say, but they're not playing that great at all. But I don't think, I think a lot of people would expect West Coast to just have a blast win. I don't think that'll happen. I think it's going to be a close game. I think West Coast will win just because of the way they've been playing, opposed to the way Norths have been playing, but I don't think West Coast are going to win by that much at all, if anything. My margin prediction, less than a goal, I'm telling you. I will be tipping West Coast, though, just because of the way I've been playing in the last 3 weeks. And because of Kennedy and Darling, if they kick quite a few goals there, we should be fine. But still, I'd be wary at Bloodstone. And then they don't even play it anyhow for the next game. They play at some suburban ground in Ballarat, Mars Stadium. No, wait, what? No, they play it out of space, for God's sake. Okay, that was sarcasm. So, up in Mars, would you have to take a rocket ship for? Western Bulldogs versus Port Adelaide. Okay, I'm going to be tipping Port Adelaide. I mean, the Western Bulldogs are just absolutely terrible right now. I can't see them winning. I mean, Port Adelaide, they haven't been playing that well in the last 2 weeks, but yet, seriously, if Port Adelaide lose to the Bulldogs, okay, even if it's not played in Ballarat, which it will be, by the way, the Mars thing was a joke, but let's just go to Optus Stadium where it gets more interesting. Fremantle versus Hawthorn. It took me a while to consider about this. I wanted to tip Fremantle initially because of the Optus Stadium advantage, but I just thought, if Hawthorn played the way they did last week, then I think Hawthorn will win. I mean, Fremantle, nothing's really convincing me with that team. I mean, they televise every single Fremantle match along with every West Coast match on free-to-air television here. So, yeah. I mean, so I can watch all of Fremantle as well. I mean, even though I'm a West Coast supporter, I can just watch all of Freo as well. Yeah. They're not playing all that great. Nothing's convincing me with that team, I'm sorry to say, but yeah. I have to tip Hawthorn. I mean, Hawthorn, they can be up and down. But I just think if the weather goes in Hawthorn's way, and against Fremantle, because they're two different teams when it comes to weather, then I think Hawthorn will win. So, in this very long tipping video, I think that's my longest ever, to recap my tips, I am tipping Sydney, Richmond, Geelong, GWS, Gold Coast, Adelaide, West Coast, Port Adelaide, and Hawthorn. Hope that helped you with your tipping, and I guess I'll see you next week. Hopefully a lot shorter one, by the way. Bye.